Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's conversation on the YouTube Creators Hub podcast. I am joined today by Matthew Hussey from the Hungry Hussey YouTube channel. He runs the cooking type YouTube channel, and he does mostly outside cooking devices and reviews for things such as the Blackstone griddle, the big green egg, pellet smokers, and offset smokers. He also does some episodes inside as well, and he tries to cater to that guy or girl next door that wants to up their game just a little bit. And that includes myself, because that's how I discovered his channel. Matthew, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Dusty. It's great to be on the chat, be on your podcast. Been a fan for a long time, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, we talked before we hit the record button. A lot of times people can see that the things or hobbies that I'm into by listening to the podcast if they're really put their listening ears on. There was a time there where my daughter and I were really big into, she was getting into Pokemon and Pokemon cards, and I had on some of those creators. And now I believe you're the second or third creator in the griddle or cooking space that I've had on the podcast. And man, you are killing it. The Hungry Hussey YouTube channel, which, by the way, you need to go there and check it out if you haven't already. 173,000 subscribers, 576 videos. Matthew, you are killing it.
Well, I think I appreciate it. Thank you so much. It's you know, we just grind almost every day. I mean, this is it's a passion that I have. I like sharing what I like to do. I love cooking for people. I show my love through my cooking. And yeah, I just want to help that guy next door to kind of level their game up and just crush it, you know.
So go ahead and tell me the origin story of the Hungry Hussey YouTube channel. I want you to give me kind of from all the way back from kind of ideation of when you were thinking about starting it all the way up to this point. What was that process like? Tell us that story.
Yeah, it didn't happen overnight, Dusty. I had wanted to share my story or share, create content, if you will. I was a photographer. I always liked photography, and I was just taking pictures, and I thought I wanted to be a blogger. And I was doing a lot of Instagram stuff. I would put my pictures on Instagram. Got noticed a little bit. Blackstone griddles, they actually contacted me to be an affiliate. That was before I even stepped foot on YouTube space. So, and I started, like I said, I was going to blog, and I just didn't like it. I didn't feel like my personality could come out. My southern drawl, I feel like that some people enjoy that, and I just, my creative juices just didn't come out on words. A bunch of my buddies just said, man, Hussey, a lot of people call me by my last name. They say, Hussey, I think you should do YouTube. And at the time, just to be honest, I'm a techie, but I didn't quite understand YouTube. I was using YouTube as a Dropbox almost. So I would just upload to it just to get stuff storage off of my phone at the time. And after a while, I've told this story many times. They also told me to look at Blackstone. The folks at Blackstone said, yeah, check out Todd Tobin. He does Blackstone griddles. He was like the first person in the Blackstone or the griddle space to be doing YouTube, right? And at that point, I saw his videos and I thought, dang, man, you could do this, And that's kind of when it started. It was like 2016-ish, June, July, somewhere around in that area. And it just started from there. And man, I just got so I dug it. I really like interacting with people. I like helping people. I like when people tell me I'm cooking with my family. My family's loving just me cooking for them. I just feel like this getting people together, that kind of thing. So it was a process. That blog space, I went through my name. For one time, it was like the cook next door, which was so generic and so dumb. And I remember when I told my wife, we were like laying down for bed. I said, I got it. I got the name for it was at the time it was the blog, and now it is what it is. I said, the Hungry Hussey, and she said, that's a great idea. Had a buddy of mine that we were in a photography club. He made that logo for me. It was never intended on being on a shirt, a hat, stickers, that kind of thing. It just kind of It got out of control, but if you will, but a good out of control.
Yeah, I think.
So yeah, and it's been a great ride. A lot of great people, met a lot of great people over time, and
Yeah,
it's just I feel so blessed.
I think one of the things about your channel that really impressed me was the branding. Like you said, the logo, the imagery, your thumbnails, and we'll certainly talk about that here shortly. But I wanted to ask you, what's been the most surprising thing about being a creator on YouTube? Like, what's been the thing or two where you're like, man, that just surprised me?
Yeah. Well, I'll be honest with you. The work that you have to commit to, um, people it's almost you're running a business. You're running a business, and I think of it as a business, and people are depending on you. They want to, if you start a cadence of every week to whatever day you decide you want to post, or how many, if you want to post multiple days, that's fine. I feel like those people are waiting on me, and they're depending on me to put a video out, and I have that weight on my shoulders that these people are wanting to see me, and they're wanting a recipe. It's just it's good work. It's fun work. I enjoy it. It's just something that I dig. But the amount of work that it takes, by preparing, shooting, the editing, and then even after that, posting it, you got comments, and you got other social media platforms that to promote it. So you got that marketing. It's a whole lot of stuff, and I don't think it's not to be discouraged, but it's some work. But if you put in the work, it'll happen. So.
Yeah, it certainly is a lot of work. And that's probably one of the biggest myths about content creation is that it's just, you hit record and you slap it up there and it just takes off, right? That's certainly not how things work in the YouTube space. And you and I both know that, being in the game for so long. So the hard work is surprising, and it is one of the reasons why a lot of people fall off from YouTube creation is the initial work. People don't want to work. And we can see that in our society outside of the creator space. That's why people are having a hard time finding people to work for their companies or whatever it may be, because people are so used to getting things handed to them. And YouTube is certainly not a handout, for sure. I should put that on a shirt. What is the thing that you wish you would have known sooner? Now that you've looked at since 2016, going on 9 years, 8, 9, 10 years, what is something now you look at and you're like, man, I wish I would have known that sooner. That would have helped me grow even quicker, or had more success.
That's a great question, Dusty. As far as wish I would have known sooner, the work don't bother me. I love working. So that's okay. Really, it's not a one and done. You have to roll with the punches. Things change a lot. And you have to be just willing to make a change. The algorithm changes a lot. The algorithm changed on me. It was kind of discouraging, but you got to learn to roll with the punches, make adjustments. What you did when you start out isn't what you're going to be 5 years, 2 years, who knows, 1 year. Things are changing so rapidly right now. And at first I was like, "Whoa, but this is the way I wanted to do it, right?" And it's not that I'm changing my style. It's now I'm like, Matt, you gotta make these videos a little shorter. You can't be so long-winded. People's attention spans are so just adjustment and making adjustments, making fine adjustments is something that is definitely needed. I wish, and again, it was a hobby at first, and it kind of blown up, and now it's a full-blown business now. So that's just rolling with the punches, I would say.
I think that the algorithm changes and being able to pivot as a creator is one of the skill sets that can serve you the best as a creator, because it is changing so quickly. Back when I started 10, 11, 12 years ago, there was so much less noise on the platform, and there was so much less people uploading in general. And now it's so many more people in my niche, in my space. And so learning how to evolve and make my stuff stand out in a much more crowded space is so important, and not get frustrated, because there have been times, and a couple of, a year ago or 2 years ago was one of those times where, like you said, the algorithm just didn't pick up my videos like what it used to, and learning how to figure out how to evolve and figure out what the algorithm wants, right? So I want to ask you, in response to that, what did you do when the algorithm, you've grown this channel, you've grown this big community, but now your videos are getting a significant less amount of views. So what did you do? What were some changes or things that you had to implement to kind of get back up to the top?
Yep. Yes, to your point, resiliency is definitely something you need. And some things that I did is you start doing a little bit of research, see what's happening, right? Now, obviously, I don't have it totally figured out. I don't have millions and millions of subscribers, but we're chipping at it, right? So still make it your own too. But things that I saw was, I could do a lot of cutting of my stuff. I'm a technical minded person, engineering background, and I feel like I would overanalyze, I would over complicate things, or just speak too much about it. I'd want people to really, really understand. And when in fact that one sentence and then I could cut and then go to something else, could suffice. So I'm thinking, I bet you my videos were probably over 15 minutes. Now it's rare that I'm over 10, unless it's a really really complicated recipe, or I'm doing multiple recipes in one video, right? So that was one thing. Again, in listening to the right people, there are some bad people giving bad advice out there. A lot of bad stuff from years ago, people are still spewing. So I researched to make sure you're listening to the right people, right? Not some Joe Schmo that's telling you on Facebook, hey, you should probably do this or do that, right? But there are some good, like this podcast here. I think I told you before, I listened to this podcast, and that's how some of my research came from this podcast. Thumbnails are always big, and then your titles, you got to grab their attention. So I think I started trying to, still evolving, still trying to do this, because it's tough. Sometimes you just don't have the time. But that's how I evolved. I noticed people's attention spans were getting a little bit lesser and lesser with the TikToks and the shorts and the reels. And so I was like just trying to get to the point a lot faster, and then really focusing on those titles and those thumbnails, so that you got to get that click. It's all about getting the click first.
We don't talk about advice and education on YouTube as much as we probably should here on the podcast, which is what you opened that answer with. You would be surprised at how many people I have on coaching calls throughout the week where they tell me they've spent hundreds, if not $1,000, to hop on a call or a consultation with a YouTube guru or whatever it may be. That's why I very rarely refer to myself as a guru or whatever. I just hope that my content that I provide builds up my name and authority and trust with what I provide here on the podcast and my YouTube channel and elsewhere outside on the internet, where these people will tell them things that are outdated, it's not relevant anymore, or it's just a repeat of what I've said, or my friends like Roberto or Nick Nimmin or Tim Smoyer or Daryl Eves, these people who are highly touted. So be careful out there that you're not paying a whole bunch of money, or you're taking a whole bunch of courses and wasting a whole bunch of time. Oftentimes I found, and this clip may be taken out of context and put somewhere, and it may go against me somewhere, but I'll say this: be careful. Oftentimes, instead of taking that course or doing this or that, you could be just hitting the upload button and getting better with every video, and oftentimes getting that much more improvement out of just doing that and the experience you're getting than getting on a call or taking a 10-hour course, right? And again, that goes against me and some of the businesses and assets that I offer. But man, it really is about hitting that upload button and getting started and trying to get better incrementally every single upload. And so I love that you mentioned that.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And a lot of people get hinged up on just taking that first initial step. I would say leave those courses alone if you're starting out. Get your feet wet, get you some content going, then maybe look at a Daryl class or something like that, because I think there's something to be said about those group coachings and things like that, because they have the credentials, right? You have the credentials, et cetera, et cetera. But exactly right. I think you really need to get in there and just hit that button and start feeling some of the YouTube game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Getting in the pool, getting situated first, because there's no magic pill. There's no magic pill. You got to get in. You got to get your feet wet. You got to work, and you got to find your way too a little bit. You got to find your path, and it's not trying to hawk somebody else's path. You see what somebody else does, do it your way, and that's how you produce your content for your audience, for your village, is what I like to say.
And speaking of your way, I feel like your way of branding and imagery is one of your strong suits on your channel. I want you to know that. I feel like your logo, as well as your channel banner and your thumbnails, go together so well, and they're done so professionally. And if I were looking for things in your niche, I would click on your videos because of the thumbnails, the branding, and the imagery. So I want you to discuss that with us here on the podcast for a couple of minutes. How did that process come to be? How has it evolved? How do you create your thumbnails? And how important is branding? I know that's a lot, but around the imagery of your channel, just discuss it and break it down for us here.
So, branding, I've read some books about branding. There's primal branding. There's all this, this kind of things. And I thought about my logo. Like I said, it was never intended on being used for merch and all this kind of stuff, but it just kind of evolved. It's really an intricate logo, kind of expensive to print because there's so many different colors. However, that's what people know. The Hungry Hussey, they know that logo, they know that brand, and so I've just kind of just left it as is, and it's what sticks. I think people resonate with that. They're like, oh, it creates some curiosity, right? Is one thing I liked about that. And curiosity, I think, is probably one of the best things. If you can get curiosity with people in your thumbnail, in your title, that's one thing that hits the click, right? And the cooking space is so, I mean, it's very competitive, right? So but going back to the branding, I just wanted to make sure somebody sees that logo wherever I'm at. Okay, so my channel banner, channel banner, to me, I feel like should say something about what you're about. Me is make good groceries. That's my slogan. Good groceries. That's some good groceries. That's just an old saying, kind of in the South, of just you're eating good, and that's kind of tied with that brand also, right? And you want, and I emphasize that in most of my videos, not to the point where I beat it like just beat the brakes off of it, but you just want to make sure you get that brand, and then also build on the brand. So like right now, I got some seasonings that I'm starting to roll out that also goes along with the brand. It has my logo on it too. So and then along with the thumbnails, I don't know, Dusty, let me know how did I explain that?
You did a really good job. The last thing I wanted to know, though, is your thumbnail design process. Can you just start to finish? Can you just give that to us?
Yep. I wanted to make sure I really emphasize how I brand it, how I market my brand. And then so my thumbnails, right? I try to have an idea how my thumbnail I want it before I shoot it. Sometimes that's easier said than done. Sometimes you have time constraints. So with food, I just want to, I'm just trying to portray what it is. I'm trying to make sure somebody looks at that and says, man, that is delicious. That looks delicious. I can't keep my eyes off that. I want to know how to make that, right? So first and foremost, I want to make sure there's a pretty good shot of that dish. If it's a big old cheeseburger, you want to make some drippy cheese, maybe, just really, really level that up. I try to always take pictures, not take screen clips from the video. You can pound the pixels so much more with the picture itself, right? So going back to my photography background, I'd always shoot in raw format so that I can really, really beef up the editing, and make it stand out on the screen when somebody's looking at their YouTube feed, right? And then it's up in the air. Some people say they like to see the person, in the thumbnail. Some say no. Some says, and that's where you got to kind of find your way, right? I like to make some kind of little silly face or whatever that says, "Ooh," or like, of that expression, so that somebody can say, "Man, he's really enjoying that," and I want to enjoy that. And then text. That's another one. Sometimes I think I'm too long-winded on the text on the thumbnail. So I kind of go back and forth. You're always evolving. Again, it goes back to evolving, being resilient, testing different things. Don't put any text on there one time. Put text on there another time. See what kind of works. And sometimes you'd be surprised at how just sometimes simplicity kind of rules, and you can overthink things too. So
I want to encourage folks who are listening to this to click on the link in the show notes to go over to the Hungry Hussey YouTube channel and just take a look at his most recent, say, 2025 thumbnails. I think you're doing such a really good job, and you can tell you have some history and experience with photography, the way that you bring out colors and the way that you add kind of a backlighting to your pictures, and it's just really good. Clean. It looks simple, and it makes me want to click. And you brought out a word that I use oftentimes when it comes to thumbnails. Curiosity was the word that you use. You want the viewer to be curious, so they'll click, or you want there to be a sense of mystery of, oh, what is that? Or I kind of know what this might be, but I want to know more. You've got to give them a sense of what will make them take their finger or their mouse and just tap or click on that video thumbnail to get, because once you get them, you can keep them, right? Then the work begins, right? You think of a YouTube video as a journey, right? The first phase of that journey is creating a thumbnail and title and description tandem that'll make them want to click the video. Then once they're in it, then the real work starts. Then you got to kind of keep them with that really good hook, and then you got to kind of start with the storytelling and the really good kind of hard-hitting elements of a YouTube video. So I think you've done a really good job. So tell me the tech stack with what you're using, like what camera are you using, what design software are you using, and how long does it normally take you to do a general thumbnail?
So a general thumbnail sometimes takes me days. I will and I use my members a lot of times on the community tab. I use those guys a lot. What do you think about A, B, and C? Sometimes there's a D, sometimes there's more options, sometimes I go 5. And I say, what, and I'll design a couple different ones. Some of them might be just a color scheme. Some of them I might take something out. I might cut something out, put something on. And really, trying to see what somebody will click on. So leverage your people too. I would say your family, if you don't have, people, if you're just starting out. So that's kind of whenever I design one. Now, equipment wise, I have evolved, and I don't want people to get the wrong impression here, because what I started out with and what I have now are two different things. And I'll go into that maybe right here in a second. But right now I shoot with Sony A7 IV, 16 to 35, 2.8 lens. I just converted over from Sony from Nikon. I used to shoot with Nikon Z cameras, and I had 2 of those. So now I got the A7 IV plus a second camera. It's a Nikon Z6, full frame, all full frame sensors, and then lighting. I will say lighting, out of all things, cameras are great, but you really need to have good lighting if you want a good picture, if you want a good image. Is big. If you don't have artificial, which would be like a lantern or soft boxes or, light panel, LED panels. If you're outside, you can get some scrims, that kind of thing that will kind of enhance the natural light and kind of bring natural light's the best, right? So I would say get your lighting right for that picture, for that beauty shot, right? And yeah, and if you got an iPhones take great pictures. Sometimes I use my iPhone picture for my thumbnail. A lot of people don't realize that. That's a great tool too. But again, your light has to be right. So that process, yeah, use what you got. Use what's in your budget. I used to use a phone and a Panasonic G7 that I bought used for $300. That's what I used to use starting out. And I think I didn't switch over until, I don't know, I probably had 40,000 subscribers before I started off. So I was rolling with what I had.
And what software do you use for the thumbnail?
For thumbnails, I use a Lightroom, Adobe Lightroom. So it manages your pictures. I really like the way it manages. I also use that for importing even my videos, even though it's not a video editing software. It does the way it catalogs everything. I really enjoy. And then I'll use Lightroom, and then I export that. Then I'll use Adobe, kind of like Canva. I can't remember.
Right. Yeah, it's something different now. It's their version of Canva.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly
Adobe
sure what
Express,
it's called. Express, yes.
Yep. I'm sorry. And I use that, and they have great. I mean, they have Photoshop features built in to where you don't have to be a Photoshop master. Used to,
No.
I would go Lightroom, get it right, go to Photoshop. Used to you had to have the banner. They wanted like you wanted the white thing around the person, the white background, and that was kind of getting kind of complicated. But I go to Adobe Express, very similar to Canva. I might remove the background, put me onto the beauty shot of that big old cheeseburger or whatever, and get that expression shot. And it's really easy. They got all the text, all the different fonts that you'd like. They have templates as well. And so you just got to kind of play around and really see what works. And I do that a lot just to see different see what might work and what might not.
I want to now transition to monetization and how you make money on the Hungry Hussey YouTube channel. So first, I'm going to ask a simple, quick hitting question. On average, can you give us, obviously not exactly, but on average, can you give us how many views your channel gets per month? And you may not know this off the top of your head, but just give us an estimate, and then how much money from just the ad program, the partner program, your channel makes.
Yep. So I'm right at about under $1 million per month. Some months it's, the YouTube, the sea of YouTube analytics. So roughly, anywhere from 700,000 to above $1 million, sometimes on the good months, right? On the high months. And that generally lends anywhere from, I would say, $4,000 to $6,000 or so.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And just again, it's dependent upon the niche that you're in, what you're covering, how long your videos are. Are there multiple ads on certain videos as opposed to not? Did you have a video pop off that month? There's a lot of things that vary. And for you, I was talking to another creator in the cooking space, especially specifically the grilling space, and they say the summer is just a hot month, hot months for them, right around June, July. That's kind of one of their bigger, seasons. And that's funny because for me in the tech space, it's, around holiday and Christmas and things like that. And if you're someone creating content around teaching and education, it might be during the school year. You got to know kind of what your hot seasons or hot months are. Take us into what are other ways that you're monetizing. I do want you to talk about the membership because that's something that creators are going to have easier access to now with the new YouTube monetization kind of rules and regulations. So definitely hit on that as well. But what are other ways that you're monetizing the channel?
So good question. This is where whenever you're on your way to making your business and earning revenue from your business, right? and a lot of the gurus such as yourself say you can't really rely just solely on YouTube, right? So you got to go through different other different channels. So there's other partners that I work with, affiliates, thermometers, ThermoWorks, Amazon affiliates, Dow Strong Knives for me, earn a little commission off those sales. So it's all these other little brands that I work with that I earn just a little bit a piece of the sale. It's no added it's no added money to the consumer. It's just I just get a little cut, a little commission, right? So I have all these other affiliates. Now, what I base my business off of, Dusty, is I don't work with these brands unless I use these brands, right? And I love these brands, okay? And you'll get a lot of, once you start getting a little bit of success, you'll get so many emails every day. And what I will say is just be genuine. People will, if you support something that just is not great, people will sense it and people will not like it. And so use that stuff in your videos, love that stuff, and not be fake. So, and that's what I tell every affiliate that I come on board with. Look, I need to use this for like 3 months to see if I like it. Are you okay with that? And some say yes, some say no. But get acquainted with those folks. Make sure they're good for you, good for your channel, good for your viewers, because ultimately it's them who's going to propel you, right? So I do that. I have affiliate accounts and several of those, and then also brand deals is also a cool thing where you connect with a brand. I work with several of those. I also work for Blackstone griddles as well. I shoot a video one video a week for them, and so I'm featured on their channel as well, and also do some other things in that business. So, and then I work with some other brands such as Cheerwine is a soft drink here in North Carolina. So North Carolina thing. Every once in a while, I'll do some work for them, and they kind of like it. I'm a North Carolina guy that does some content for them. So
I love hearing people like you who have found their niche and their passion. And I think it's important to note here as we get close to the end of this interview that you're doing something that you love. You could not have created over 550 videos about something that you just didn't find interesting. And it's so important to hear in your voice, like when you talk about your sponsors and the brands that you work with. There's a reason why on this podcast we were like 345 episodes in until I brought on another sponsor other than TubeBuddy, because I use TubeBuddy and I love TubeBuddy and I knew the people who created TubeBuddy. I trusted them. I used it over and over. I put it through its paces. And then the new sponsor that I brought on the past month or so has been something that I've worked with and have been working on for a membership program and things like that. So knowing and understanding who you're working with allows you to not only talk about it in an advertising marketing way, but it allows you to talk about it in a way that'll just naturally make sales because you actually use the product or the service. And so as creators, I want you guys to listen to this and understand that it's cool to get brand deals, but please don't accept everything that comes your way, because if you do, it's going to muddy the waters and it's going to dilute kind of your authority and your trust from your audience if you do that. So it's really amazing to hear you say that about that, Matthew. I really appreciate you mentioning that. Very, very important. What's next for you? Like, the final question is, what's next for you short-term and long-term? What are you looking to do with the channel and your business as a whole?
Short-term, I work a 9 to 5 also. So it's 9 to 5, got my own channel and then plus work for Blackstone. Ideally, I want to step away from my 9 to 5 pretty soon in some capacity, maybe like a part-time gig, and discuss doing some of that, and then just really start stepping towards being full-time Hungry Hussey, and what it all brings, from seasonings to merch, all that kind of stuff, maybe even events. that kind of thing, catering for parties, not just videos, but just the brand in general, what it brings to the table, and just really promoting that and making it larger. But ultimately, this is my passion. Like you said, I get fired up about it, and my short-term plan is stepping away a little bit long term, maybe 1 to 2 years, is to being full time.
I love it. I think you're well on your way. I think you probably could have already taken the step if you really wanted to, but because of the kind of person that you are, and I can just tell by talking to you briefly today that you want to make sure you have that stability and security. You want to take care of your family, and knowing that the Hungry Hussey it can be the long tail thing that a 9-to-5 job is, and that's the kind of thing as a creator I want you guys to listen to as you hear this episode today. In that, you don't always have to do YouTube full time. I mean, Matthew's been doing this now going on 8, 9, 10 years, and he still has his 9-to-5 job, and he has a very successful brand and YouTube channel. So understand it's okay to do both. And you can, you got to figure out how to manage your time and do all that stuff. All right. In closing, what's a brief, quick hitting tip that you want to leave my audience with today? People who are wanting to start or grow or monetize their YouTube channel.
My quick tip for everybody listening is you can't start unless you hit that record button. And your first 10 videos are going to be terrible, and that's okay. You're going to have a small audience, which is okay. Your next 10 to 20 videos are going to be a little bit better than that 1 to 10, right? Just get started. If you have an iPhone, just get you a mic, just a simple little lav mic, and your phone, and just hit record and just start going, because you're not going to be that. There's going to be some that can hit the record button and have a million views instantly, but that's few and far between. Get your audience built and then start working from there. Just get better, but you got to crawl before you walk. It's just part of it, and put the work in. If you enjoy it, like I do, just keep crushing it. Just keep working.
Matthew, thank you so much for joining me today. What a great interview. Again, you can check him out at the Hungry Hussey YouTube channel to see kind of all the things that we've talked about and discussed today. There will be other links as well if you want to get in touch with Matthew outside of YouTube. Thanks again, Matthew, and we'll talk to you next time. Hello, everyone, and thank you for listening to this week's episode of the YouTube Creators Hub podcast. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget, you can subscribe to the show for absolutely free in your podcast player of choice. Also, there are ways you can connect with us. You can support us by supporting our sponsor, TubeBuddy, as well as supporting us over on Patreon to get access to our creator Discord community. And I also offer YouTube coaching and consultation, YouTube channel reviews, and just overall business coaching if that's something that you are wanting to look into. So make sure you check us out there, and we'll see you next week.